At the age of 3, you start riding a Shetland pony at the Seal Chart Riding School run by Mrs. Margaret May. It's the start of your lifelong passion for horses. Your very first pony was Misty. You used to ride home from kindergarten every day. Your grandfather, Elliott Rice, and your uncle, Major Jack Rice, encouraged your love of horses. When you're 12, your grandfather arrives at your house with a colt to replace ponies Misty and Dandy Kim. Now, Heather, you're the one who took charge of the horses that your father bought. What did you call this new one?
Well, we thought, and we decided we'd name all the horses after drinks. Now, I don't know why, and I'm not going to say why. So the first one was called Dubonnet, and then every horse has a stable name, so he was quickly named Dubby.
Now, you say a reluctant but temporary farewell to Dubonnet in 1967 and join your father in the Philippines. In Manila, your mother runs a pony club in partnership with somebody who remembers your earliest competitive riding.
There was a feeling that perhaps you might be better suited to a Wild West movie than equestrian events.
The wife of the Lieutenant Governor of Western Australia, she's flown here to be with you tonight, Jenny Malcolm. Jenny, step into the hall and tell us the story. What was the problem then?
Well, Jins, you didn't always get the best ponies to ride at Manila. In fact, Jins, you got the worst ones when everyone else had had their pick because you weren't a regular polo club member.
That's it.
But determination, enthusiasm, spirit, and you got them round. Jins, you always got them round, and it was one of those times when Heather and I were standing watching you while you were sitting waiting to go on, looking somewhat less than stylish on your pony. And Heather sort of nudged me and said, "Oh, look at that cowboy. Do you think we'll ever make a rider out of it?"
I'm much a tomboy, I'm afraid, wasn't I?
And look at you, how proud we are.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, your father, who'd been an international class rugby player, has to give up his military career because of multiple sclerosis, and the family returns to Devonshire. Dubonnet has by now grown into a strong 5-year-old, but your first competition together ends in tears when you're eliminated after 3 refusals of the combination. But from then on, your riding improves in proverbial leaps and bounds. In 1973, Dubonnet carries you to the individual Junior European Championship, and you share in the title triumph of the British team. You're developing another winning partnership with new horse Jason when in April 1976 you fall during a one-day event. You break your left arm badly as well as dislocating your elbow.
Your injuries, Virginia, were so bad that at first we were not sure how to put you back together again.
He was the commander surgeon at the Royal Navy Hospital in Plymouth who operated on you, Captain John Bertram. Did this seem like a hopeless cause at first?
Well, we were a bit distressed to know what best to do. We thought we'd have to take part of your elbow out, but after discussion with a colleague, we decided to try and put you back together again.
He's so handsome too.
Bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but we got it right, and with you, a brave and very determined character, all went well, apart from the elbow.
Yes.
Which remained rather stiff and wouldn't straighten.
But a friend was on hand to help.
And you've been going straight ever since.
The family vet for more than 30 years, Don Attenborough.
Hello, how are you?
So, Don, this was a job for a vet, was it?
Well, hardly. Had he been left entirely to the vet, the outcome might have been terminal.
Yes.
I was glad of the opportunity to put to bed this myth that I made a contribution to the recovery of your arm, particularly in the presence of this brilliant surgeon to whom you owe everything in the recovery. The only contribution we made in your family was that you were being a little bit wimpish with, I know you were aggressively enthusiastic, but you weren't straightening your arm. And you've been instructed to do so. We all insisted that you carried 20 buckets of water in that arm every day, with nobody else allowed to carry water, and it was remarkable how quickly the arm straightened.
That's it, that's it.
Ginny, I have to say that it's an extraordinary thing that you've achieved over 25 years all your tremendous success on 4 horses. And only you have suffered serious injury. Now that's a remarkable achievement, and it's because you and your family have never taken advantage of the generosity of the horses that you've used. Your skill as a horsewoman and your personal courage has matched the skill and outstanding courages of the horses that you have partnered to success.
Thank you. Thank you both. Because yours is a family that favours a bent elbow anyway. I know that.
Exactly.
Now, it's past the bedtime of 2 of your best friends who played such an important role in making you one of the finest of all 3-day eventers. Now, here comes Nightcap to greet you, followed by Priceless, on whom you won the world title.
Oh, wonderful. Look at them.
Now, if we promise not to tell, could you actually say which has been the favourite of all your horses?
Mr. P, Priceless, I have to say, has this very, very special, tiny smidgen of a favourite.
Right. No one will know.
Nobody ever knows.
Now, on to more personal relationships. You're married for 3 years to Hamish Leng, with whom you remain good friends. And on October the 1st, last year, you became Mrs. Elliott. Mikey, the honeymoon destination was a surprise.
It's quite difficult to find somewhere she hasn't been to in the world. So I said we're going to go on a bicycling tour of the West Country. And from the reception, we bicycled off down this quite long drive, I discovered, where there was a car at the end, which took us to Heathrow and then to South Africa.
Which is so exciting. I mean, I drove him mad. I did nothing but talk all the way there. And finally, on the aeroplane, he said, for goodness sake, just be quiet.
How romantic. Now, Louise Bates. Louise, you and Ginny have been best friends for more than 20 years, I think, and there is a serious side to her.
She's always willing, doesn't matter how busy she is, to help other people, especially people who are very ill. And there was a special girl called Emma Strange, who you helped, and sadly, dear Emma, she died of leukemia. But Gin was a great help to her parents, Jill and Roger Strange, and a great support to that family. Good
Thank
girl.
you. Well, you've become a regular team member on the BBC's quiz, A Question of Sport, and your captain, Ian Botham, knows what happens next.
Oh, dear.
Well, they caught up with you at last, Ginny. It was only a matter of time. Congratulations on a well-deserved honour tonight. You've always been a great sport when you come on the show, and I remember you coming to Bristol to watch the road show when I was with Viv, and as you can see, this is not normal attire for me. And I seem to remember someone's car getting towed away. But I hope you have a great night tonight, Ginny. Don't leave the car double parked, and take some Fensic in the morning.
Thank you, Ian.
That's right.
What was the double parking bit?
Well, that's a long story,
all right.
but the slightly shorter one was, I don't know why Ian's always had me on his team, poor thing, and I always lose for him as well. But during one particular programme, I gave him a little present, which was a badge, and it said, "You can't fly like an eagle when you work with turkeys."
I take the point. Now, in 1989, you do a good turn by introducing a former badminton eventing champion to one of our greatest ever athletes.
And I'm here to thank you, Ginny, for bringing Seb and I together.
She was then Nicky McIrvine, now married to the fastest man about the house, Mrs. Sebastian Coe. So, Nicky, how did you and Seb meet?
Well,
It was mismatch maker.
yes, I was staying with Ginny for Gatcombe Horse Trials. Actually, I think it was 1988, but I'm not sure. And she'd invited Seb through somebody else for supper as well. But he didn't actually ask me out for 2 years. So how's that for a long, long time in between? But no, and I seem to recall telling some rather risque joke, having had
Yes,
too
I was
many
a bit
glasses
worried
of
about
wine.
that.
And I thought, God, what have I just said? And I've never met this person before. Anyway, the evening passed, and really what I'd just like to say as well, Ginny, is a huge thank you for everything you've done for me in my career, because you've been such a help. from fitting my horses through to absolutely helping me on big days when you've had just as much pressure yourself. And I just can't tell you how much it's always meant to me and been such a good friend. And I also have a message from Seb, who sadly can't be here tonight because he's got a running 3-line whip, as usual. And he'd just like to say that you've always been the ultimate competitor in his eyes, and always in total pursuit of perfection, and such a fantastic example to those who follow you. And that's from her message from him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
And that's Slinkage. Also, I introduced him to somebody very important, and I said, "Did you know that he's a member of the Conservatory Party?" Kind of wow.
Well, now, for 20 years, you've been close friends of an inventor and her husband whose business has nothing to do with horses. Guitarist Mike Rutherford is away recording with Genesis at the moment, but he and his wife Angie send you this message.
Ginny, I'm sorry we can't be with you this evening, but I'm in Denmark having some dressage training, but you're partly to blame for that because you really did inspire me to get back to riding, having not ridden for years. And the other person you encouraged to ride was Mike. Do you remember you gave us a horse called Mickey Finn because you thought he'd be perfect for Mike to learn on? And having got over the first hurdle of virtually forcing Mike on board, we went for a gentle ride through the woods and came across a very low branch. And I told Mike to bend right down by the horse's neck, but I think he only bent his head. And the branch went down the back of his shirt. By the time I looked round, Mike was suspended mid-air without a horse between his legs. And then he hit the deck. So it wasn't really one of your finest moments on horseback, was it?
No, but you can be assured, Ginny, there have been many more accidents since then. I have you to blame and also to thank for all the good moments. Have a great day.
Oh, well.
Thank you, Mike and Angie Rutherford. Now, after you'd won the individual bronze medal in the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, you cooled off with the man who won the gold medal.
And I'm here to get my own back on you tonight.
He's just phoned in from New Zealand, your good friend Mark Todd.
Oh, glory.
Like, he looks a bit wet and wild after the Olympic triumph.
He always is wet and wild.
Well, that was a particularly amusing afternoon, if you remember. We were all sort of fairly high after our Olympic efforts, and it was actually one of the few times that I managed to beat you. But there was the usual party back at the New Zealand camp, and I think your team was sort of stable next to ours, and the champagne started flowing, and fairly soon it got a bit wilder, and the next thing the hoses came out, and everybody started getting sprayed, and then if I remember rightly, it was you and Tiny Clapham who managed to pin me down and take all my clothes off, bar my knickers.
It's such fun.
I thought so too at the time. But anyway, you're a wonderful ambassador of the sport, Ginny. I think whenever I'm teaching, I always use you as an example of the absolute perfectionist. You're a wonderful inspiration to all the young children, and you're great fun to have as a competitor.
Oh, Toddy,
Mark Todd, thank you very much. Ginny, you of course will be the first to give credit to a team of trainers and instructors who've helped you become such an outstanding champion. We have a school of them here tonight: Sally Strawn, Pat Manning, Dot Willis, and your good friends Lord and Lady Hugh Russell, who've done so much to help your cross-country expertise. Missing is the first trainer who ever gave you a leg up on a horse. Actually, it was a Shetland pony. You were 3 years old, your first riding instructor, and still holding the reins as a teacher, Margaret May. Virginia Elliott, MBE, this is your life.
Oh, thank you.
This Is Your Life, sponsored by Konica Film and Cameras.
Tonight, in A Touch of Frost, an obvious suspect.
He's arrogant, he's nasty, and he gets away with murder because of who his mother is.
A shocking revelation.
Kill? What do you mean, kill?
So you didn't know he was dead? Don't tell me your boyfriend didn't bother to check that out before getting you to fake his alibi.
A cheap date.
How'd you like me to buy you a cheeseburger?
Yuck.
A Touch of Frost, tonight at 8 on Granada.
A touch of Weatherfield after the break.
The Argos sale is so great! I just can't get over it.
When the men from the Volkswagen Group arrived at the Skoda factory, we didn't know what to expect. Since then, much has changed. Every Skoda we make has to be built to Volkswagen standards. They tested everything. At times, we thought it wasn't possible to meet their standards. But we did it. This is the new Skoda, a car that Volkswagen approved.
These Kiwis couldn't have chosen a better time to come to the UK. Now you can make cheap rate calls to New Zealand or anywhere else in the world all weekend. And the weekday international cheap rate now starts at 6 p.m. So it makes it a lot easier to catch people.
With 700 vans, spread nationwide, the auto industry's life.
New Dolmio chicken casserole sauces use the best Mediterranean ingredients to bring out the best in chicken. So you can make the best tasting chicken casseroles like our red wine and mushroom. New Dolmio chicken casserole sauces. Only the best will do.
Where can you find permanently low prices on everything from sandwich fillers to tea time snacks for kids? From crisp salad to fresh fruit, from garden toys to sausages and burgers. At Asda, where prices are constantly checked to make sure they stay low, permanently low. That's Asda price.
All the boys would like these for the match tonight.
20 chalk ices, just 99p.
Way below, way below, way below.
Farm Foods. Our prices are way below.
Once you taste new Doritos from Walker's, eating will be one outrageous experience after another. New Doritos. Let loose.
I sent your mother some blue irises, Dorothea's favorites. You forgot.
I don't know how I forgot. Mother would never have forgiven me.
She certainly wouldn't. Her daughter drowned. You were there.
Can I help you at all? No, I'm all right, thank you.
Whatever it is that you've done, it can't possibly be that bad.
Dorothea, I'm sorry I forgot your birthday.
Haunted by the past.
I don't want to be forgiven, Andrea.
Forever Guilty, Blue Irises, Thursday, 11:10.
Hello, good evening. Well, you'll find us back in America at 10:40 tonight, not on the pitch, but on the trail of a band of Confederate renegades, all heading for the Mexican border with Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott in hot pursuit as the Shadow Riders, tonight's film at 10:40. Meanwhile, in Weatherfield, Curly's got to do what a man's got to do, so Steve, look out.
Britishes. Non-stop.